Hello, my students. This is the third lecture in your subject Methods of Scientific Research, okay? The last time I have asked you a question which is about why did James failed why did James failed or failed in why did James fail in his research, okay? James failed in his research because he didn't take enough time to think about his research. He didn't think about this is an example in your textbook on page 3, okay? Have you seen it? The answer is that James did not take enough time to think about his research methodology. Methodology means next time or next lecture or in chapter 2 we are going to deal with methodology. Methodology like qualitative methodology, quantitative methodology, okay? And his sample, maybe he didn't think about his sample. Is a questionnaire. What's the meaning of questionnaire? Questionnaire means استبيان, okay? He didn't think about it. He didn't form or he didn't design his questionnaire in a proper manner or a proper way, okay? So he failed. He didn't think about his research at all or in general, okay? This is our methodology. We are going to deal with methodology in chapter 2, method in chapter 3, sample in chapter 4, okay. James' questionnaire had been poorly designed and was generating other type of information, okay? The information James was receiving were other or differ to what he needs, okay? He needs certain type of information, but the questionnaire was generating another type of information which he was not in need of it, okay? So the questionnaire was invalid. He did not, or it did not measure the things that he was supposed to measure. The result is that he started over and designed another questionnaire, okay? So the researcher should think about his research carefully, should take enough time to think about it and to think about many issues involved before starting the work. He should think about sample, العينة, should think about the methodology of the questionnaire, طريقة إما كمية أو نوعية, qualitative or quantitative, okay? He should think about the sample, العينة, and the title of the research itself, okay? It is very important to spend time thinking about the project before moving on to planning stage, okay? An example which is about the example of James, okay? Okay. Now we are going to deal with how does research differ from daily life activities. In other words, or another question, how does research differ from daily life activities? Or other question, what are the characteristics of a research, not a researcher? Okay, characteristics of a research. Number 1, researches are replicable and generative. replicable يعني مكررة, okay? Replicable. They are replicable in many other ways, okay? For example, someone conducted a research on a certain sample in University of Mosul. Another one conducted the same research but on another sample in University of Basra, let's say, okay? The sample here is different, okay? The sample or the sample or the two samples are different, okay? Are in different, okay? There is a difference between them, okay? In the sample in University of Basra and the sample in University of Mosul, but the same research. So they are replicable. Many. For example, you can conduct a research about coronavirus, okay, in Iraq, and you can conduct research about coronavirus in UK, okay. Here, the environment, the sample, the many other variables are here are to be handled, okay. Generative means when you are going to finish your research, there are some recommendations or some suggestions will be presented. For example, the researcher conducted and find results, but his time he didn't, or the researcher doesn't have time to go further in his research. So he suggests for other researchers to do the same research, or to do researches on certain points which he finds, okay, in his results. This is generative, okay. يعني قصد بحث يؤدي إلى بحث، نتائج بحث تؤدي إلى بحث آخر. So researches are generative. 2, researches rely on logic, okay. Logic, منطق, okay. What did we say in the last lecture? We have said about the sources, reliable and unreliable sources. Reliable sources, okay, rely on logic. So researchers rely on logic, okay. 3, researchers help, or researchers help, not helps. Sorry, researchers help researchers predict the course of future events, okay. Correct it, please. Here, researchers help, not helps, help researchers. This is printing mistake, okay. Researchers help researchers predict the course of future events, okay. Research. If you are going to conduct research, you are going to predict something, some results, okay. You have prediction of something. So why you are doing research? You have something in your mind. You are predicting something. تتوقع شيء ما. Okay. 3, 4. Researchers are systematic and objective. Okay. Systematic means نظامية. Objective موضوعية. Okay. So 5, researchers aim to make generalization. Why do we conduct a research? We conduct a research, for example, about a phenomenon, ظاهرة معينة. For example, the bad performance of students in some of the primary schools. الأداء السيء للطلبة في المدارس الابتدائية. Why? Because there we notice something. Okay? We are going to have results. هيكون عندنا نتائج. Okay? These results are going to be generalized. تعمم. نتائج تعمم على البقية. We found results, for example, in these primary schools, we found results as the teacher is not qualified. المدرس غير كفؤ. So it is going to be generalized. Or the textbooks are not available. لا يوجد كتب منهجية في تلك المدارس. Or the place of the school is not good. Let's say, and this is in such manner we are going to generalize upon the other classes or other schools, let's say, or other. From our results, we are going to generalize. Okay. How can a researcher define his project? There is a good and useful way, and scientific way that the researcher can define his project, okay, or do his project in a proper way. It is that the researcher seeks answers for the 5 W's. 5 W's, we have 5 questions. يعني الباحث يجب أن يحصل على إجابات حول 5 أسئلة عن بحثه. The researcher should find the answers for the 5 W's. 5 W's, okay? What? Why? Who, where, and when? Okay. Let's deal with what? What? The researcher should ask himself, what is my research? شنو هو البحث مالتي؟ شنو؟ What is my research? The researcher should definitely needs to answer the question about the normality of his research and what is it. The answer is rather difficult, but answering it is very important. Okay? So the researcher should know what is his research about. He should be able to summarize or sum up his research in one sentence. You can say, my research is about failure in certain primary school. بحثي هو عن الرسوب في المدارس الابتدائية، في مدرسة ابتدائية معينة. هاي شنو بحثك؟ هذا بحثي، الفشل في أو الرسوب في مدرسة ابتدائية معينة. Okay? This, what is your research? شنو هو بحثك? Okay? If the researcher could say what is it and could define it, then he has a good start to his research. If the researcher could not define his research, it will be a broad. What's meaning the broad? يعني يكون يعني موضوع كبير جدا لا يستطيع تناوله، لا يستطيع التعامل معه. Okay? أو يكون okay, or it will be vague or mysterious. غامض، راح يكون البحث ماله غامض. Okay? لا يدري به إلا هو. Okay? Example. Let's say the effect of a weblog, weblog يعني مدونات. The effect of weblogs on the writing ability of EFL learners, English foreign language learners. Okay? What is this research about? إذا نقول هذا البحث شنو على إيش؟ This research is about the effect. هذا البحث هو حول أثر مدونات على كتابة الطلبة المتعلمين للغة الأجنبية. Okay? This is the research. How the researcher define his project? Why? You should answer another question, which is why. Why I am doing this research? ليش أنا عم أعمل هذا البحث? Why I am doing this research? The researcher needs to think carefully about why he is conducting this research, what is the purpose, شنو الغرض, the way the researcher conducts the research and the way in which he is going to report the results affect the topic of the research. The researcher may conduct research because سبب, it is a university dissertation or project. If you are a student, PhD students or MA student or MSc, okay, طالب ماجستير, طالب دكتوراه, okay, you should write, you should conduct a research. لازم تعمل بحث إذا أنت طالب ماجستير أو دكتوراه أو طالب حتى في دراسات أولية مراحل نهائية. Okay, this is why. 2, or perhaps the researcher tries to obtain funding. Okay, funding, تمويل. The researcher, okay, sometimes, okay, do researches, okay, in order to gather the attention of some organizations, منظمات, in order to have funding for his research. Funding, okay, حتى يتحصل على أموال لأداء بحوث ماله. Okay. 3, or it is the researcher job in his institution. Researcher job عمله هو في مؤسسة أبحاث يجري بحوث. Okay, these are good factors for good start, as a researcher needs to be interested in his research to keep up his enthusiasm, حماسة. يعني هاي الأمور راح تثير الحماسة وتخلي الباحث دائما محفز and to remain motivated. Okay, let's go to 3. Where you are going to conduct your research. When? In Iraq, in America, in Kuwait, in Jordan. Where? In Mosul, in Baghdad, in Nineveh. Where? In the university, in the primary schools. It's very important that the researcher, not search, I'm sorry. Here, the researcher. Correct it, please. This is another printing mistake, you know. This is very difficult for us to print, okay? Not very difficult. It is a boring, okay? It is another job for us to do, okay? It is very important that the researcher, not the researcher, okay, corrected. The researcher asks himself where he is going to conduct his research. It is very important to narrow down a research topic. It is beneficial, مفيد, and important for the researcher to choose a place which is available for him and which is of a near distance so as to save time and money. Okay, this is 3. 4. When the researcher is going to conduct his research. The researcher should ask himself when he is going to conduct his research. Certainly, every researcher has a limit of time. يعني أنت ما عندك وقت مفتوح إلا محدد بوقت. شو سنة تأدي بحث في سنة شهر يوم يومين يوم يعني okay 2 weeks 2 days maybe to fulfill your research. Also, the researcher should think when to contact his participants. Participants يعني المشاركين بالبحث أو العينة من البحث. متى راح يتصل بيهم؟ لازم يحدد الوقت. This is when you should know about these things. The researcher should know about these things. Okay, when and yes, come in. تفضل. نعم. Okay. This is last thing we were talking about when. Okay. This is before the interruption in the classroom. Okay. Another question, which is who will be the researchers, participants, okay, or respondents? Who will be? العينة means the sample. Who will be the researchers, participants, or respondents? Or sometimes we call them subjects. The researcher should think about the type of the people with whom he needs to get in touch with and whether it will be possible for him to contact with them. Okay? He should think about his participants. Are they available? Is he going to contact them? Okay? يعني هل هم متواجدون؟ هل سوف يستطيع أن يقابلهم يجري البحث عليهم؟ So these are the 5 W's. If the researcher can find good answers for these 5 W's, then his research will be a good research, and he can go further or can go on and plan for his research. Okay, these are the 5 W, or these are how can the researcher define his project. Okay. For the next lecture, consider exercise 1 in your book, okay, in your textbook on page 8 and 9, okay. Thank you very much, and that's all, okay.